Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, for those of you who don't know, most of you probably know that are watching, but there may be new people watching. My name is Vicky Marie. I talk about true crime mostly. Sorry, that noise is my German Shepherd having a drink of water. Thursday. I'm based in mainland Spain, where it is currently 32 degrees because, of course, we're in full summer or coming up to it. We're not even in full summer yet, and it's already too hot. It is 12:05 in the afternoon, just past midday here in Spain, mainland Spain. And, yeah, it's hot. Oh, I've got hair in my mouth now. Where the hell is that come from? Anyway, and some good news is that those of you who watch my channel often will know I ordered a fan off Amazon that took me an hour to put up. An hour, it worked, well, actually, it worked for 20 minutes and then it just stopped working. And then it took me another hour to take it all apart again, just put it together one more time just to make sure I hadn't done anything wrong. Then still didn't work. Take it apart again, pack it up in a box. I still haven't managed to send it to Amazon yet. Anyway, but the good news is I bought a cheaper fan from a local sort of supermarket, hypermarket place, which took me 10 minutes to put together. And it's now working, so I do have a fan blowing on me. I mean, I've got two ceiling fans. I've got air conditioning, but I haven't got that on at the moment. I'm trying to avoid putting the air conditioning on. Not actually, it's not as expensive as you think, air conditioning. It's not for that reason. I just don't like the fact that it dries out my throat. It's quite loud, you know, when I'm on a live. So I try and avoid it, but I will put the aircon on if I get too hot. So there's some good news this morning. Now, of course, what we're going to talk about in this video is we're going to talk about the judge in the Justice Beale. Let's have a look at him. In the murder mushroom trial. Gosh, it feels like forever I've been talking about this trial, but it is. We're in week 9. This is over 2 months. This trial has gone on. And, you know, it's good in a way because at the end of the day, these victims, this is Justice Beale, he's the judge. He's currently, well, not at this moment because he's finished for today because this is in Australia. So it's a different time zone from where I am. He's finished his summing up for today. That's his second day of summing up. He's got another day tomorrow. And he's even said, oh God, he's even said it won't finish tomorrow. So he's likely to be summing up right up to Friday. And so the jury won't be going out to deliberate till at least Monday. You know, oh my God. You know, this trial really has gone on a long time. And I think that must be difficult for everyone. The jury, the victims, the one victim that is still alive, the families, Erin herself. Can't be good, surely, when a trial goes on for this long. But having said that, a trial will take as long as it takes. It's important that all the evidence is heard, that everything's looked at properly. So, you know, you can't criticise it, can you? But I do feel like, you know, certainly in the early days of this trial, there was a lot of waffle, let's say. But anyway. So this is the accused. This is Erin Patterson. We're going to learn a little bit more about her before we start on hearing what the judge had to say. I found the article that I'd been reading that says a little bit about her life before she was Erin Patterson, when she was Erin Scudder, her maiden name. We don't know lots about her, I don't think. We know she's got a sister, but her sister has not appeared in this trial at all. Not as a character witness, nothing. Nobody has spoken up for Erin in this trial, which is a bit strange, isn't it? So anyway, this is Erin. This is her defence lawyer, Colin Mandy. We'll be looking at well, we won't be looking at what he's got to say because it's the judge now that's summing up. But the judge will be mentioning things that Colin said in Erin's defence. This is Nanette Rogers. This is the prosecution lawyer. Of course, the prosecution called many witnesses, didn't they? Many. And whereas the defence, Colin, he only called Erin Patterson. He didn't call any other witnesses. No character witnesses, no nothing. Very strange, I think. Anyway, Nanette was the opposite. She called loads of witnesses, didn't she? So these are the most important people in this case. Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, Heather Wilkinson, and Ian Wilkinson. Don and Gail were Erin's estranged husband Simon's parents. This is Erin's estranged husband Simon. Don and Gail were his parents. They were invited to this lunch along with Gail's sister Heather, so that is Simon's auntie, and her husband. Heather also died. So these three people are dead, deceased. Be no more photos of them, no more life for them, nothing. And although they weren't young, they weren't that old either. So Don and Gail, I think were 70 years old. Gail was 66, sort of mid-60s, late 60s. And Ian did survive, but he was so very ill. He was so lucky to survive. And the thing that killed him, or the things that killed him, were these death cap mushrooms that were in the lunch that Erin prepared for him over there in Leongatha in Australia near Victoria. She invited them all for lunch. This is what we definitely know. She invited them for lunch, and in that lunch somehow these death cap mushrooms got into that lunch of beef Wellington that Erin is saying got in there by accident, nothing to do with her. But, you know, this beef Wellington is a bit disingenuous, this picture that I'm showing, because actually Erin served her, I was going to say victims then, served her lunch guests individual beef Wellingtons on different size and colour plates to hers. Allegedly. This is what Ian testified to, the only survivor. And yeah, they all got really ill. And 3 of them died, whereas Erin got ever so slightly ill. According to her, it's not even been proven really that she had any illness whatsoever after supposedly eating the same thing as them. And yeah, that's you know, basically where we are, isn't it? So if you want to know the full story, the playlist is in the description box of this video. I'm not going to go, I mean, the judge will go through some of the details in his summing up, obviously. But if you want to know the whole details, the nitty gritty of everything from day one of this trial, and we're now in day 37, so there'll be 36 other videos there. If you want to hear all the evidence from the experts that the prosecution supplied, that's the place to find them on the playlist. But the defence did not provide any experts in Erin's defence. The only person who has spoken in Erin's defence is Erin. And Erin is a proven liar. She is a liar. She is a Pinocchio. She's admitted she is. Many things that she said to the police. Just said it's not a trial of whether she's a liar or not. It's pretty evident she's a liar. This trial is she a murderer or not? You can be a liar and not be a murderer. So, you know, doesn't necessarily mean she murdered them. And that's the truth, isn't it? You know, That's the truth. It's ironic, isn't it? It is true that just because Erin is a serial liar does not mean she's a murderer. So, but it doesn't help, does it, in her defense? So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So we're on the second day of the judges summing up. So all the evidence has been presented. Most of the weeks of evidence were from the prosecution that provided many experts. Then we had 3 days of Erin talking in her own defense. She's the only defense witness, the only one. No character witnesses. Her sister hasn't been called. Nobody has been called to give evidence in Erin's defense. Only Erin, which is really unusual, and it's like desperation stakes, in my opinion. But maybe she convinced the jury. I'm sure Erin thought she could convince the jury, because we all know that what we found throughout this trial is Erin, she thinks she's super smart, super sleuth, her friends called her on the Facebook group. She thinks she's so clever, she could talk around the jury. Well, maybe she has. Maybe she has talked around the jury. Well, that's to fact. I don't think it'll be that long. Well, we keep saying, oh, it's not going to be that long. Certainly by next week, I think we'll have a verdict. So that's what we're going to talk about. But first of all, I want to say thank you, of course. Thank you to all of you that have watched any of my videos, not just about this case, but any case that I cover. Thank you a special thank you to those of you who've subscribed, who have liked. Don't forget to leave your DNA, your fingerprint on the like button. That's what helps not only my channel, but any YouTube channel that you like watching. It's important to like the videos. It does make it helps with the algorithm. None of us, well, I certainly don't understand the algorithm. I never try and follow the algorithm. I just do what I think, but I probably do the wrong thing most of the time. But I know that liking the video, or even disliking the video, gives a prompt to the algorithm. So thank you if you've done that. Special thank you, as always, to my members. My members are very special. They are the mainstay of my channel. People don't understand why YouTubers ask people to become members, or send Ko-fis or whatever. But if you're a good YouTubers, and I would like to consider myself as a good YouTuber, they put in a lot of hours. And if you don't want to be a member, or you don't want to send a Ko-fi, well, don't do it. Everybody, it's not obligatory. YouTube is free at the point of using, isn't it? Anyone can watch my YouTube videos. They don't have to pay to watch them. But it's not a bad thing either to have members, or people buy me Ko-fis, or they send me PayPals, or etc. I don't see how that's a bad thing either. But anyway, some people seem to think that there's something wrong with that. Well, there you go. That's fine. You go ahead and do what you want. But I want to thank the people who appreciate my channel enough, because it does helps sort of with your moral support. It helps you to know that people do like what you're doing, apart from the financial aspects of it, because becoming a YouTuber, for me, it's been like, it sort of is a hobby, really. It always starts off as a hobby, but it becomes more and more, it takes over your life. And I'm not complaining about that. I enjoy doing YouTube videos. I hope that people enjoy them. I enjoy making them. I enjoy the chat with the people that interact. I enjoy all of it. So it's not, as I say, it's not a chore for me to, but sometimes covering true crime, it does become a little bit more of a chore. It becomes difficult. And it's the support from people who, whether it's financially or not, support me, like with a nice message or an email or whatever. It doesn't have to be becoming a member or sending a Ko-fi or whatever. It just makes you feel like, on the days when you think, oh God, why am I doing this? Should I continue with this? Just makes you think, yeah, I'm glad I'm doing this, because people say to you, oh, thank you for doing this, or thank you for covering this, or I really enjoy watching your videos, etc. Also, on my channel, we've built a community that's not built on hate of other people. as well, because you get that a lot, don't you? I've been watching some videos lately, just think, oh my God, everything is about, oh, I don't like that one, they don't like that one. And and then 1 minute they're, loyal to that one. And then they go over to another channel and say, I never liked that one in the first place. And, and then they argue between themselves, because the YouTube creators allow them to, basically. I don't have hate on my channel. If you want to hate, go onto one of those other channels and hate. You can hate me, I don't care. But, I'm not having that. My chatters, they come into my channel and they chat publicly and they trust each other and they feel comfortable in the community. That's what I want. But the other little warning, of course, is be careful. To my chatters, this is, as I say quite often, be careful. Don't give too much information about yourself, because unfortunately, although the vast majority of our community are absolutely lovely people, there'll always be some people out there who are maybe not so lovely. So you've got to be careful still what you say, because the internet is a big, bad world. It's got its good things and its bad things, hasn't it? So, yeah, I think that's it for the thanks. So I'll take that banner off. We got into a bit of a waffle there. That's not like me, is it? Anyway, so hello, lovely lurkers. So, I have some lurkers. I know I'm a lurker. It's not a negative thing to be a lurker if you're a lovely lurker. Hi, lovely lurkers. But if you're a loathsome lurker, so you get the other sort of lurkers who really are just like, waiting to, I don't know, pounce on someone if it's not me, one of my chatters. Really, we don't want you on this channel. So there's there's 100, there's a million other channels out there that you can go and, express your hate. Go and do that, because those YouTube creators, they quite like it. They encourage it. Not on this channel. Okay, so, and hello to Replay Crew. Thank you for watching. Not everyone can watch the lives, I know. So people that are catching up later, hi, and thank you for watching. And now I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to the people who are actually here in the chat and brave enough to be in the chat and, chat to each other. Of course, there's been a lot of chatting going on between you while I've been waffling on. Let's have a look. Maria. So Maria has joined or rejoined, because I know that Maria's been a member before. Thank you so much. Let me find my little thank you button. So for those of you, I forgot about talking about the memberships. As always, I forget about most things, but I end up waffling about a lot of things and forgetting about a lot of other things. But yeah, if you want to become a member to help my channel, Thursdays are members lives. If you can't watch the live, then you can always catch up. They're exclusive members live. You get to use the exclusive members emojis, and you can recommend cases for me to cover. So thank you Maria, that's so much appreciated. So that was a nice start. That was the first thing. So hi Tracy, hi Jonathan. So Jonathan's here, come here. So Jonathan says, I would love to be here for the live, but it'd be 10 p.m. and I need to go to bed. Blessings to you all. Thanks, Vicky, for your lives, and continue with this case, and RIP to the victim. Hello, Jonathan, as you're watching on replay. Hi, David. Oh. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, Lily Pauly. So David will be listening, but not in chat. A man's work, isn't it? David's always busy. You're always busy doing something, aren't you, David? That's what keeps you young, isn't it? Hi, Yvonne. Hope you're well. Sorry. Hi, Darren. A lot of Pinocchios there. you, Bluebell. That's very kind. That's a lovely photo, Bluebell. A lovely photo of you. Sorry, I'm looking for my thank you. So I'm so quick not at the buttons, aren't I? But thank you so much for the super sticker. Very nice profile picture. Right, now I've got to find out where I was now. Oh, thank you, Bluebell. Hi, Katie. Yes, the internet is forever. You know, so unless, you know, at the end of the day, unless you just, do you know what, people capture things. You know, it's one thing to capture things on the internet, isn't it, for a good reason, for nice reasons. But anyway, there's a lot of weirdos out there at the end of the day, so. David is one of those strange men that can multitask. You know, there's not many of them around. Oh, God, I'm going to get into trouble for saying that. But, you know, it's a standing joke, isn't it, that men don't multitask. But David is an exception. David can multitask, can't he? Okay, so what we're going to look at first then is a little bit about Erin before we start on what the judge had to say. Hi, Miss Lee. Well, apart from what the well, just before we look at what the judge had to say today, and you know, they didn't get started for ages again today. You know, there's, I mean, I know it's a court, we can't expect it to go smoothly. You know, things come up, legal things come up, and what have you. But they seem to come up a lot in this case. I don't think they even got started till 2:30 or something today, so it's quite no, was quite late in starting. So you know, sorry, but I've got to tell you, he didn't finish today. The judge, he had said that he was hoping to finish today, wasn't he? 2 days. He didn't finish, and he's going to carry on tomorrow. And not only that, he said, don't expect me to finish tomorrow. So it's looking, so what day is it tomorrow? Thursday. So it's going to be at least Friday before the jury go out to deliberate. And of course, he may well say, oh, let's leave it till Monday, because they quite often do that, don't they? So, yeah, you know, we've still got a few days to go, haven't we, of this trial. But what I want to show you first is this article about Erin, you know, a bit about Erin before this trial, because we don't know much about her, do we? So this was actually from 2023, so this was before the trial. Now, I'm sorry, I know people tell me off when I say you can tell by looking in people's eyes what kind of person they are, or looking at a photo of people. If you, anyone who says to me, if you look at this picture of Erin, you think she's a good person, she's not. And I think one thing that has come out of this trial, whatever, whether she's guilty of murder or not, and only the jury can decide that. I would never think of Erin as a good person. Nothing that, you know, all I've learned about Erin during this trial is really what a liar she is, how she's not scared of putting anybody else under the bus just to save her own skin. She casts aspersions on everybody. It's all about, and looking at this picture of her eyes just look evil, I think, you know, and you know, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. Exactly, Bluebell. It's a shifty look if you ever saw one. Yeah, Katie, I think they do. I think they show up at 9 o'clock and then they just have to sit around outside and wait until they get called in. Yeah, I do. So, shh. No, he's not reading out a transcript, Bluebell. He's reading out his summing up. He's It's not a transcript. It's what he's taken from the evidence that's been presented and what he thinks is important, not important, or whatever. So no, he's written it himself. But I don't know why. But they keep going off for what do you call it? Legal discussions where the jury can't be present. So that's apparently what happened this morning. But imagine just sitting around from 9 o'clock. No wonder they're always buying coffee. So anyway, let's have a little look at her life, or what this article says. More details have emerged about the woman at the centre of one of Australia's biggest mysteries. Erin Patterson, who's been accused of murder over a deadly mushroom meal, was a Melbourne air traffic controller. I still can't believe she was an air traffic controller. In 2001. So that's 24 years ago. So she's 50 now. So she was only in her mid-20s until abruptly leaving in 2002. Now, why did she leave? I don't think we know. I mean, it says here abruptly, but you know, like sometimes. Hey! Shh. Stop it, Tia. So that's the bloody chihuahua out there, Coco, barking, and that sets my dog off, and then it'll probably set all your dogs off. Stop. So yeah, why did she abruptly leave, I wonder? Was she sacked? Did she have some problem with a co-worker? I mean, they're saying abruptly. Maybe it wasn't that abruptly. You know, this is just what this article is saying. Right, you're going in the bathroom now. In the bathroom. So, at the time, she was not married to her ex-husband, Simon, and she went by the name of Erin Scudder. And former colleagues who do not wish to be named. So remember, these people don't want to be named. So whatever they say about Erin, we have to take it with a pinch of salt. Is it even true? They described her in one word, a loner. Something was not quite right. She was a bit strange and she didn't engage with anyone, one told the Herald Sun. But this is a bit odd because later on they say, in another article, I'm not sure it's this one or not, it was said she could twist men round her little finger. So how could she do that if she was a bit strange and she didn't engage with anyone? So the problem is, of course, isn't it? When these, as this case was coming up, people are not going to say nice things probably about Erin, are they? She would say some weird off-the-cuff things and just didn't get along with anyone. They also described her as secretive. While they had gotten to know each other and about each other's families, they knew nothing about Patterson or her family. Despite this, one colleague considered her quite intelligent, claiming that the air traffic controller course she completed was something only a tiny amount of people entered and excelled at, but she went on to work independently in that field. She's very bright, much brighter than people might think. Oh, I think she's bright. I just don't think she's as bright as she thinks she is. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. That's how I feel it is with Erin. I think she thought she was clever. She was super sleuth, wasn't she, on her Facebook group? She's interested in true crime. I bet she's had a right slagging off of other people that have been involved in true crime, in cases. So, then it goes on to talk about what happened. Don and Gail Patterson died, who were both 70, along with Heather, age 66, and Heather's husband, 68-year-old Baptist church pastor. Ian Wilkinson survived what was put on in a coma for 2 months. Poor Ian, 2 months in a coma and a liver transplant. Erin Patterson's ex-husband Simon was also invited. However, he pulled out last minute. He'd only just recovered from a mystery stomach illness that had put him in hospital for months. And it is thought that it's probably Erin who did that to him. So that was just a little bit of information that I found on the internet. take it with a pinch of salt. We don't know really. I don't know Erin. I don't know what sort of person she is. But you know what? uh, sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Do you know what? It still strikes me as strange that when it came to Erin's defence, the only person who spoke in her defence was her. No friends, no family. Her sister didn't come along and talk in her defence. None of her Facebook friends were speaking in her defence. So there you go. Yes, exactly. Who was it who just said that? I think it was David. Erin has got 20 faces, hasn't she? She's got the face that she shows to her Facebook friends. She's got the face that she shows to her in-laws, the face that she shows to her kids, the face that she shows to her ex-husband. She is she acts whatever way she thinks she has to act to get the result that she wants. I mean, we all do that up to a certain point, I suppose. But yeah, sorry, I just don't, I just get this bad feel. Yeah, I think maybe that's why she was. Could you imagine her in air traffic control? Oh my God. Just like you couldn't imagine that, she ended up training to be a midwife or a nurse that she's supposed to want to do. How terrifying of her to have control over people's lives. Just seems terrifying to me. Okay, let's get on now and look at what happened on the second day of the trial. Now, this is a little video. Let's have a look at it. Oh, it just came up no problem before. Now, I can't get the sound up. Hang on. Wasn't what I was trying to put on. I don't know. No, I don't want to watch it like that. When I tried to put it on before, it just came up. Anyway, all right, let's watch it. Computers are like men, aren't they? They never do what you want them to. Oh, it won't let me go off there and go. Yeah. 50 witnesses, and they were all prosecution witnesses because there are no defense witnesses. Yeah, lies. Oh, I'm not even sharing this.
Asian grocer, but later admitting she had previously
Oh, I've just realised I actually wasn't sharing it. Oh, was I? Yeah, I was sharing it. God.
foraged for wild mushrooms, and that dehydrated foraged mushrooms may have accidentally been added to the meal when she added mushrooms from a Tupperware container for flavour. And her claim that she was also sick with diarrhea but was reluctant to be in hospital and also reluctant to bring her children to hospital, even though she said she had fed them leftovers from the lunch. She's told lies upon lies because she knew the truth would implicate her. The Crown prosecutor also told the jury it did not need to find a motive for murder to find that there was intent. You don't have to know why a person does something in order to know they did it. The question you have to determine is, has the prosecution proved beyond reasonable doubt that the accused did this deliberately? Erin Patterson's defense team, however, maintains she is not guilty. Colin Mandy, as he began his closing statement, saying the jury essentially has two questions to answer. First, is there a reasonable possibility that death cap mushrooms were put into this meal accidentally? And second, is it a reasonable possibility that Erin Patterson did not intend to kill or cause serious injury to her guests? He also said the prosecution lacked a motive, which is normally fundamental to proving an intent to kill or seriously injure. And if anything, the 50-year-old had reason to keep her in-laws in her life. Erin Patterson had a motive to keep these people in her world so that they could keep supporting her and her children. And there's absolutely no doubt that Don and Gail had a great relationship with their grandchildren. Absolutely no doubt that Erin was devoted to her children. One agreed fact between the prosecution and defense is that Erin Patterson lied to police about the dehydrator. But Colin Mandy said these lies were born from panic.
You know, they keep saying she was a devoted mother, but you know, only because it suits her. I would really be suspicious of Erin later down the line. You know, her children have had illnesses as well. You know, lots of devoted mothers. Thinking one in particular, of course, Gypsy Rose's mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. They are devoted mothers. They love. It's not that they don't love their children, but you know they do still. You know, this Munchausen's syndrome by proxy. I think Erin was a devoted mother, but you know, was she? How would that have gone as they got older and started to, you know, become more independent of her and everything? Erin is my opinion is this is, and this is just my opinion. Erin is a control freak, total control freak. She likes to be queen bee. That's why she was giving out all that money when she won that money, when she inherited all that money. It was, oh yeah, you know, help out this person, that person. People do that. I've had that. People have done that to me. To me, when you help someone out, you help them out the generosity of your heart. You do not expect anything in return. You're not an Indian giver. I mean, I'm not saying that if you loan someone money, of course you expect them to pay you back, but you don't expect anything more than that. You don't expect interest. You don't, you know, these are friends who maybe loan you money when you're going for a bad time. You don't, there's not more involved in that, you know. And unfortunately, for a lot of people I know, it's like, oh, I've loaned you that money, I've helped you out, and now I own you. You have to do everything I say. You know, you have to help me whenever I ask you, even if, you know, I had a friend who lent me some money once, and then turned around, sent me a, said to me, oh, can you just do a bit of translation for me? You know, because obviously because of speaking Spanish. I said, oh yeah, fine, no problem. I mean, you know, not get you help. I would have helped her anyway, whether she'd lent me money or not, because, you know, she was my friend, and I would have done it for her, and I wouldn't have charged her. But having said that, then she sent the thing that she wanted interpreting or translating. Oh my God, it was about 30 pages long. You know, it would have took me hours. It wasn't just a little text, you know, that I could just do just like that. And it was a technical translation as well. It involved a thing, you know, a product that she was selling that I didn't know about. So I had, it wasn't common language that I would know about. And I said to her, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to charge you something for that, because that is going to take me literally about 10 hours. If you want it doing properly, because she wanted it written down as well. It wasn't like just me saying to her, oh, this is what it means. And she got the right it was like, oh, but I lent you that money. It's like, yeah, you lent me the money, but now you want me to do all this for you free of charge. Like, she wasn't going to pay me for that or take it off the money I owed her. She was expecting me to do that without payment. And as I say, if it would have been a small thing, I would have been happy to do it, whether she'd lent me money or not. When you're asking someone to do a 10, 15 page, translate a 10, 15 page document of technical language, that would probably cost someone about €200 for me to do. And she wanted it doing for nothing. So that's how I think Erin is. Erin reminds me of this person that I'm talking about a lot. Queen Bee, I miss money bags. I've got all the money, it starts off, oh, I'm helping you out. It's not just me. She did it with a lot of people, helping you out. And you think, oh, that's nice of her to do that, but there's an ulterior motive in everything they do. And I think Erin is exactly like that. She's an Indian giver as well. She'll give things and then want to take them back. She doesn't get the appreciation that she thinks she deserves. She get the ump, and I think that's exactly what happened. She got the right ump about all of it.
Rather than guilt. He said if there was a plan for murder, Erin Patterson would have disposed of the dehydrator months before and never told anyone she had one. It speaks volumes about her state of mind. And later in closing arguments added, she was freaking out. People were blaming her, understandably, because whichever way you look at it, it was her fault. He said lies about her health before the meal was not a ruse, but as Erin Patterson said while in the witness box, it was to cover for planned weight loss treatments. It's got nothing to do with any intention to kill or to harm them. It can't possibly have anything to do with that. The question around her computer history and Erin Patterson's admitted interest in wild mushrooms was also addressed by Colin Mandy. Erin loved mushrooms, not only the wild ones, also eating them. She told people that she believed that they were full of nutrition and flavour, and she used them in cooking. Justice Christopher Beale will give the jury final instructions next week, which will be the trial's 9th week, before allowing the jurors to retire and find a verdict. This is what happened in week 8 of Erin Patterson's triple murder trial.
That's quite a concise sort of explanation of the trial up to the judges summing up, and that's what we're going to look at now. And I agree with you, but the thing is, people are quite crafty. These people are quite crafty. They put you in a position. You learn this as you go along, don't they? Yeah, because maybe you're in a position where you have no other alternative, and to cut. Without going into details, I had no other alternative than accept this money from this person, because otherwise, it was just a time where, as I say, maybe one day I'll talk about more in the members, but so they get you that way. You're backed into a corner, and they're like your shining light, to help you out of an absolutely impossible situation. But you're absolutely right. If you can, you have to avoid that, because it never works. They're not always operating from genuine sort of caring about you. That's what I learned. It's more about what you can do for them. So let's have a look at this. Let's go back. So, quick recap of closing arguments. That's what we just done. So, yeah, for the first time today, members of the jury enter courtroom for, I think it was 2:30 in the afternoon or around about that time, before they even entered. So it was delayed in starting. Justice Beale apologised for the delay, and he will now continue with his directions. He clarifies a few points he made yesterday for the jury, and then he moves on to Shaman Fox Henry's evidence as an expert witness. Mr. Fox Henry is a digital forensics expert with Victoria Police. So remember, we had all these experts. His evidence focus for the prosecution. No experts were called for the defense whatsoever. His evidence focused on various devices seized from Erin Patterson's home and some messages that were extracted from these devices. And Justice Beale tells the jury that in cross-examination, Mr. Fox Henry said he first received these devices for examination in about the middle of August 2023. At this time, the judge says Mr. Fox Henry did not hold some of the qualifications he now holds today. So the only training in data collection was from experience in audiovisual, Justice Beale says. He tells the jury, this is a bit, it's like casting aspersions on Mr. Fox Henry, isn't it? He tells the jury that sorry, I'm trying to undo my shoes. I don't know about you, whenever I sit down, I want to undo my shoes. He tells the jury that Mr. Fox Henry followed instructions from his peers to assess the devices in this case. So what, is he casting aspersions on Mr. Fox Henry? So the judge tells the jury that Mr. Fox Henry extracted and processed the data from a computer seized from Erin Patterson's home. In his evidence, Mr. Fox Henry explained a process by which he created 2 portable cases. One of those contained data from a keyword search, which included terms like death caps and death cap mushroom. Justice Beale runs through a list of things Mr. Fox Henry. Sorry, I've got to undo these shoes. They're driving me mad. They're the most comfiest shoes in the world, but as soon as I sit down, I want to undo them. So Justice Beale is running through a list of things Mr. Fox Henry did while extracting the data and essentially how he prepared his report. Again, all of this information is already known to the jury and was presented during the expert's evidence. So he tells the jury there was more than 2 million artifacts on the seized computer, and Mr. Fox Henry was asked to look at between 60 and 70 of those. Sorry. God. That's it. There you go. It's just a Velcro strap. Look. It's just doing my head in. Because, as I say, when I'm walking around, these shoes are so comfy. But when I'm sitting down, I start to notice them. Weird. So, Mr. Fox Henry was asked to look at between 60 and 70 of those. And during his evidence, he agreed the data included interactions with the iNaturalist website on the 28th of May, 2022, which lasted about 3 minutes. He also agreed the record showed the same computer visiting the Corranborough Middle Pub website a few minutes after a visit to the iNaturalist website. The court had previously heard at least 2 people had uploaded details of death cap mushroom sightings in the Gippsland area to iNaturalist. And the judge reminds the jury that Erin Patterson gave evidence she could not remember this internet search. So remember, Erin's answer to everything she couldn't account for was she didn't remember, or maybe she did, or blah de blah de blah de blah. Hi, Joanne. No, Bluebell, iNaturalist just reminds me of that as well, isn't it? Just it sounds like, what's that? Naturism, iNaturism. Yeah. So the judge is just really recapping all the evidence, isn't he? So in her evidence, Miss Patterson said she couldn't remember various searches on her devices, but it was possible she was responsible for them. Oh, possible, it's possible. That is Erin's answer to everything, isn't it? Oh, I don't remember doing that, but it's all those things. And then when the prosecution lawyer said the wrong day, Erin was right there. Oh no, that was a Friday. Possible she doesn't remember. She remembers. In my opinion. So she said she wasn't disagreeing with the cross-examiner, but she couldn't remember. Then she went and ordered some food. So remember, we were seeing that actually made her peckish looking at these death cap mushrooms. And then she went and ordered some food from a pub. He reminds the jury that Miss Patterson also said she had no idea that she had an interest in death cap mushrooms. Her only interest was to find out if they grew in South Gippsland. She agreed that someone visited the Corranborough Middle Pub website, but she couldn't remember if it was her, and she wasn't suggesting it was her children either. So just wondering who the hell it was then. It was the ghost. So I think Erin must have a ghost in her house. So it wasn't her. Oh, she couldn't remember it was her, but she wasn't suggesting it was her children either. Oh dear. No, the trouble with Erin is she thinks everyone's stupid. I hope this jury isn't stupid. The jury is then taken to images found on a tablet that police seized during a search of Erin Patterson's home. The jury saw these images earlier in the trial. One of the images is of a food dehydrator, another shows an image of mushrooms on a plastic tray, and another is of mushrooms on a set of scales. And some of the images also show information about ovarian cancer. Well, she was researching ovarian cancer because that's what she was telling everybody she had. That's what she said at the lunch, she had cancer. She'd researched it. She did not have cancer. And as I think I said yesterday, it doesn't matter if she told them she definitely had cancer or that she might have cancer. Neither of those things were true. She wasn't undertaking any tests for cancer. She hadn't been told she definitely had it. She hadn't been told she might have it. Her biopsy that she said she had was a lie. The MRI that she said she had to have was a lie. None of it was true. Justice Beale says that Mr. Fox Henry told the court he could not say when the original images were taken and what device they were on. He also said he didn't know if they were taken by the user or received from someone else. Yeah, fair enough. So we're now looking at a number of factory. So the factory resets. Every time you do forget some of the lies that Erin told. She did 4 factory resets on her phone, and one of her phones, we don't know where it is. So this was referred to during the trial as Phone B, and the resets occurred on February the 12th, 2023 at 3:53 a.m., August the 2nd, 2023 at 9:09 p.m. That was just after the lunch, of course, wasn't it? August the 5th, 2023 at 11:20 p.m. when the phone was in police custody. So both these two were remote factory resets. She thinks she's so clever, this. Oh, please God, don't let her be proven to be successful in her duplicity. I hope not. She's so devious. August the 6th, 2023 at 3:16 p.m. when the phone was still in police custody. Oh, come on, you just would not do that if you had nothing to hide. Why would you factory reset your phone when it was in police custody? Unless you had something to hide. To me, that is like a no-brainer. You know, if the police take my phone, if there's things on there I don't want them to see, yeah, I might do it. But I wouldn't do it if I didn't have anything I might want them to see. And remember what she said. She made the police out to be stupid, didn't she? Because she said, oh, I just thought I'd look to see if I couldn't believe that it'd still be on the internet. And I just tried it and, oh, poof, it did a factory reset. Horrible. In my opinion, she's a horrible woman. I don't care. Who knows what I think about it? Maybe I should be more level about it. But, you know, I've sat here and watched every minute of this 9-week trial. So I think I'm quite well informed now about Erin. I think she's a horrible, despicable woman. And if she doesn't like that, she'll have to sue me, won't she? After a quick break, the jury returns. Justice Beale picks up by urging the jury not to consider the evidence of Mr. Fox Henry in isolation, which is fair enough, but that's the whole point, isn't it? What condemns Erin. If you look at things individually, you can't take one thing as a proof of her guilt, but you put them all together. How can you think anything else? So the judge tells the jury it needs to consider whether you can reasonably infer that on the 28th of May 2022, the accused sought out information on the iNaturalist website regarding death cap mushrooms in Victoria for a second time. He emphasises to the jury there is no computer evidence of Erin Patterson accessing 2 points on iNaturalist that detailed death cap mushroom sightings in Gippsland. I thought there was, but anyway, never mind. He tells the jury that the prosecution argues that Miss Patterson was aware of iNaturalist site and its features. Well, she definitely was. Didn't she even admit she was? So we then turn to a section of the defence's closing address where barrister Colin Mandy addressed the alleged visit to the iNaturalist search on May the 28th, 2022. He conceded that Miss Patterson was responsible for the search, but went on to say it was a brief visit and his client was not familiar with the website. The web page, sorry. He then tells the jury it is not required to accept the opinions of Dr. Sorrell or Mr. Fox Henry, or indeed the expert opinions of the other experts who gave evidence in this case. 50 witnesses from the prosecution. I'm not saying they were all experts in something. 50 prosecution witnesses. How many defense witnesses? 1. Erin Patterson. He says their contributions are merely pieces of evidence that you may accept or reject. They're fair enough. The judge says the jury should consider the experts' qualifications, experience, and whether the inferences of their evidence are disputed or not. Well, they were not disputed, were they? Because Colin Mandy, the defence lawyer, he hasn't brought in anyone to contest their evidence. He has not, nobody's been brought in to contest. Oh, thank you, Swin. Thank you so much, Swin. That's very kind. Swin has bought me a coffee. Thank you. I need a little thank you song, don't I? Thank you so much. I'll have another thank you. Thank you so much for the coffee, Swin. So, yeah. Gosh, it's like... Oh, sorry if I don't see... Oh, and Joanne gave me a super sticker. Sorry if I don't see it as it comes up. But I'm just every now, I get into my spiel, and then every now and again I go back and just have a look at the chat, make sure you're all right, and that's normally where I see it. So sometimes I'm a little bit late in seeing it, but thank you, Joanne, for the super sticker. So I'm currently sort of just having a little look through the chat. Somebody said something there, which was, yeah, M. Faley, hi. Yeah, I agree with you. Very interesting that someone who's supposedly suspicious of the medical field, let me put up there, thank you again, Joanne. Somebody who claims to be suspicious of the medical field was endeavouring to enter the field themselves as a nurse or a midwife. Exactly. If you know, because something that's been claimed is that Erin was just generally suspicious of doctors and hospitals and this, that, and the other, and that's why she discharged herself. So why was she wanting to be a nurse or a midwife then? Just interesting, isn't it? It all just proves, you know, what she's like. I think exactly, Yvonne. Put it all together. It's not one thing is circumstantial. You know, if like tomorrow, say there's a robbery in my village, and somebody says, "Oh, you know that Vicky Marie? She was right next to that bank when it was robbed." And that is some circumstantial evidence. Maybe I was seen running away from the bank. But that's not enough, is it, in itself, to make me guilty of robbing that bank? But if then later the CCTV turns up a person who looked like me, maybe with a mask on, my DNA turned up on the, I don't know, on the counter or on the door, or these are things. So circumstantial evidence in its one thing in itself is never enough, is it? But when circumstantial evidence can prove a murder or a crime, is when there's a lot of it. Because quite often in crimes, nobody's there to see the actual crime happen, are they? Nobody's there to see someone actually being murdered. And if there's no DNA, I mean, obviously there was DNA in this case, I imagine. Erin's DNA will have been all over the beef Wellingtons because she cooked them, you know. So, but DNA is not going to be the, you know, the thing that convicts Erin. In this case, it will be the absolute mountain of circumstantial evidence that the prosecution brought to this case. 50 witnesses, and each one of those, sorry, not witnesses, 50 people who testified. Yeah, they are witnesses, aren't they? Or witnesses or experts or whatever. One expert won't be enough, but 50 or a combination of 50 and a combination of witnesses and experts, that is enough, you know, in my opinion. I mean, God, how much, you know, how much proof do you need? Yeah. I don't know about Jessie McTavish. I must look up Jessie McTavish. Yeah, and shades of Lucy Letby. I know a lot of people think Lucy's innocent, but I personally don't. But, you know, everyone has their view on Lucy as much as anything else. But, you know, I presume, you know, anyway, we won't go into that case because it's always controversial. But she was convicted at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a combination of things. Nobody sees it. But, you know, the more I think about it, and not only Lucy Letby case, but any case where it's nurses, you know, the nurses, they call them the angels of death, don't they? There's been loads of cases over the world of, unfortunately, sometimes people, you always think a nurse, male or female, you can't believe that they would do something bad to someone because you expect them to have that nurturing thing, but they do. You know, unfortunately, sometimes people who have got that tendency to play God, look at Dr. Shipman. These people that have got a tendency to play God, they gravitate towards those kind of professions because they're the professions that give them the power, don't they? And, you know, Dr. Shipman, I always, because of course that was in Manchester or in the Manchester area. And actually, one of my cousins worked for Dr. Shipman. She was a receptionist at his his practice. And she said she always said he never seemed to like women very much. That was the only thing really she had to say about him. Also, I had a student who knew the doctor who she's deceased now, sadly, not my student, but the doctor who finally called out Harold Shipman. The thing is, when you're in a position, Harold Shipman was a doctor. People don't like to criticize doctors. Maybe nowadays, but certainly in that day and age, in my parents' generation, which was like the generation of most of the victims of Harold Shipman, they were mainly elderly people, weren't they? Mainly women. They thought doctors were gods. You know, my mum would not have questioned anything if a doctor said to her, take that gun and shoot yourself in the head, that'll make you feel better. My mum would have took the gun and shot herself in the head, because she thought doctors were like, you know, they were like next to gods in her eyes. And I think that was that's a generational thing. And I remember my dad saying, you know, it's just terrible what Dr. Shipman's done, because we didn't live that far from there either. You know, it all sort of happened in Hyde, Stockport, in the Greater Manchester area. We lived in South Manchester, but luckily he was not our doctor. But, you know, we weren't that far away from it. And my dad, I just remember him saying, it's just terrible what he did, because he took advantage of all those women, older women, you know, who thought he was God, like, you know, and all the time he was murdering them all. I forgot why I've started saying this now. I went off into a waffle. And now I've forgotten why I started saying it. But yeah, because hey, the blooming Chihuahua's back. The Chihuahua's back. Stop! It's not. I know it's not your fault, but you've got to stop barking. She's just lying here asleep, and the bloody Chihuahua's gone past again barking. Yeah, we cannot think that. Unfortunately, 99.9% of the people that are in the medical profession have joined it for the right reasons, haven't they? You know, to save lives, to help, you know, to make a positive impact on the world. But you'll always have that 1% of, you know, maybe even more than 1%, I don't know, but you'll always get some people that will gravitate. If you want to hurt people in a covert way, what better than to become a doctor, you know, or somebody who has an impression. Yeah, there was the lady undertaker as well, but it was an undertaker's family. It was a family, but it was a woman that pointed it out, but it was in conjunction with the doctor, Hazel, I think the doctor was called. The thing is, it's difficult to call out a doctor, because doctors, as I say, they had this fantastic, maybe nowadays it'd be easier to call out a doctor, because people have, you know, lost that awe, if you like, of those sort of professions, which is good and bad. I mean, the thing is, they're just people. Doctors are people like everybody else. Nurses, there's good people and bad people. You know, there's good doctors and bad doctors. They just like there's good plumbers and bad plumbers, or good electricians and bad electricians, good teachers, bad teachers. You know, these are people, human beings. They're not gods. They're not any more special than anybody else. And yeah, it took a long time to catch out Harold Shipman, because it was only really when the undertaker lady and the other doctor, both women actually, yeah, sort of like, oh, this seems strange, you know, and started talking between themselves. Hi, Sean. So going back to this, sorry, I had a bit of a waffle there, didn't I, going on? So yeah, and also experts. I mean, I strongly believe in you can find an expert to confirm anything you want them to. I've seen it happen in court cases. You know, quite often the court case will get one expert for the defence, say, or the prosecution, get one expert to say something and say, oh, this is definitely blah, 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 blah. And then the defence will bring out another expert who says, oh, no, it's definitely not that, it's something else. Now, this didn't happen in this case because the defence did not bring out any experts. Okay, so now he's turning to her alleged incriminating conduct. These are what the prosecution argues are incriminating conduct. So the prosecution alleges that Erin Patterson lied about being unwell and faked death cat mushroom poisoning. Right, I need the lie thing for this. Where are we up to? Refused treatment on her first presentation at the Leongatha Hospital and left the hospital against medical advice. Was reluctant to obtain medical treatment for her children on July the 31st, 2023. Remember all these? Lied that she had fed her children the leftover beef Wellingtons on the Sunday night with the paste and pastry scraped off. Reset phone beam multiple times from August the 2nd, 2023. Disposed of a dehydrator at the local tip on the same day. Provided police with phone B rather than her usual phone during a police search of her home on August the 5th, 2023. Later lied to police about her usual mobile phone number. Lied that she'd never foraged mushrooms or dehydrated food. So I can't even fit them on one page here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 things that, according to the prosecution, were incriminating conduct. That's a lot of things, isn't it? You know, why did she lie about all those things? So then we're taken to the evidence that Miss Patterson's husband Simon gave, that Miss Patterson had a history of leaving hospitals. Simon previously told the jury that his estranged wife had done that twice before. So yeah, apparently, you know, she had left hospitals before. The judge also, according to Simon, so that's, you know, it's important that it was confirmed that she had done that before. The judge also highlights evidence that Chris Webster told Miss Patterson he was concerned about the possibility of death cat mushroom poisoning after he learned that Miss Patterson cooked the meal. And a nurse who saw Miss Patterson in hospital told the jury she was reluctant to go into a bay. Now, you know, I understand. I hate hospitals. I hate doctors. Never go to the doctor. I should, anyway, I get into a lot of trouble from friends and that about the things I don't do as far as health is concerned. So I do understand that. But then, yeah, like somebody said earlier, she wanted to be a nurse. I wouldn't be a nurse. Definitely wouldn't be a nurse. You know, I couldn't imagine anything worse than being a nurse. So I've got to keep checking my phone because Riley's gone for a clip, so I'll keep he'll be back soon. So yeah, as much as I'm scared of hospitals and doctors or don't like doing them, if somebody told me I might have ingested death cat mushrooms and I might need a liver transplant, you won't be able to prize me out of that hospital. So she told the nurse she's not prepared to be admitted and she needed to go home to sort out her children, despite the nurse warning her life could be in danger. And then she signed a patient discharge form And Mr. Justice Beale is summarising all this evidence for the jury. So then he goes into more detail about her hospital presentation on July the 31st, 2023. We heard evidence that staff told Miss Patterson she should remain in hospital because she might become unwell. But Miss Patterson said she didn't live far away and she would return after she tended to her children and animals. We're then taken to some detail about Miss Patterson's previous hospital attendances, including one in 2015 when she requested a nurse remove an IV drip so she could leave. And during her evidence, Miss Patterson told the jury about a misdiagnosis that led her to distrust the healthcare system. So I wonder what would have happened if she'd become a nurse and then a patient said, "Oh, take out my IV, I'm going home." You know, what I wonder how Erin would have felt about that. You know, because really, you know, nurses get very mistreated, I think, don't they? And, you know, could you imagine, like, if you're a nurse, you're trying to save someone's life or help them at least, and they're like, get this IV, you know, there's a lot of aggression, isn't there, in the hospitals and things like that. And it sounds like, you know, Erin's like, oh, get this IV out of me. I wonder how Erin, if she would have become a nurse, and she may still, because if she's found not guilty, maybe she'll still train to be a nurse or a midwife. Oh my God. But say, imagine she does, and she has a patient who says, oh, no, sorry, I'm going, a patient like her, take the IV out, I'm going home, blah, de, blah, de, blah. I don't think Erin would be very happy, would she? I wonder what she'd do. Anyway, Justice Beale continues recapping evidence from Miss Patterson that she asked her doctor at the Leongatha Hospital, why do you think I've eaten death cap mushrooms? And in her evidence, Miss Patterson said she was anxious in hospital because no one was giving her updates on the other lunch guests. Justice Beale reminds the jury that the prosecution argues the only explanation for Miss Patterson's reluctance to get medical help was that she knew she had not consumed death cap mushrooms. I mean, you know, you talk about your family are in intensive care because of it, because of the food you've served them. You'd be terrified, wouldn't you? Anyway, the defence argues, meanwhile, says the judge, that there is a reasonable explanation for Miss Patterson's behaviour. And he reminds the jury of the defence argument that Miss Patterson found it difficult to accept she could be suffering from death cap mushroom poisoning. She had a history of discharging from hospital and tended to second guess medical advice. Oh, I think that's more or less it. Let me just... I just want to show the judge again, because I don't know if it showed him earlier. I think I probably did, but just I'm going to show him again. So this is Justice Beale. I've put the wig on him. He's not wearing a wig. I don't even know if he's wearing a gown. I don't know what they do in Australia, because don't forget, we can't see any photos from the courtroom. We can only sort of hear what reporters say secondhand, and then this courtroom drawings that have come out, but you know, they're normally pretty crapo in Australia, aren't they? This was the drawing that was made of Erin. This is, of course, these aren't drawings, these are photos. Don, Simon's father, who died, Gail, who died, Heather, who died, and Ian, who is still alive, and we've got a more up-to-date picture of him. I must admit, they've done a brilliant job with Ian. He looks so healthy, really. You know, when you think what he's been through, and he's 70 years old. You know, they did a very, very good job with saving Ian, didn't they? And then we've got this more. Here's Erin. Let's have another. Personally, I quite like this picture of Erin because I think she looks like this toadstool. I know sorry, I don't mean to be horrible, but I do really, because I think Erin is a bad person and she's done a bad thing. Personally, I think so. I don't actually really feel that guilty about saying bad things about her. Though I should wait till she's found guilty. Sorry, I'm reading the chat now. So that's all for now. Now listen to this. We've got tomorrow to get through. It feels a bit like a trial for us now, doesn't it? To try and get through this. Justice Beale tells the jury he'll turn next to the alleged incriminating conduct related to the store-bought dried mushrooms. Noting the time of day, because don't forget they didn't even start till 2:30. The judge says it's best if the jury hears that evidence as a single block. So he sends out the jury members till tomorrow. And before they leave, he says that his directions won't finish tomorrow. Oh my God. I don't know if I can take it any longer. We'll leave our coverage for the day here and see you when the judge's directions resume tomorrow. That's where we got to today. Yeah, they did, didn't they, Joanne? I mean, they were good. You know, they saved his life. They tried tried their very best to save the other 3 people's lives, and they couldn't. It's a shame, but they saved Ian's life. I don't know how they did it. Well, I know how they did it, but they gave him the same treatment as they gave the others, but for some reason, the others did not survive, but Ian survived, and he was lucky. But anyway. I don't know how many hours, David. Well, it's been 37. This is day 37. So even if you think it's been 5, now I'm crap at, I can't do numbers, but this is day 37. So even if you think it's only been 5 hours, on average, I think I've done 2 hours each stream, let's say. Probably average of, some have been longer, some probably not many have been shorter. So let's say 37 times, even if you said times 2, that's 74 hours we've spent on this case. But if it was, probably sometimes I've done 3. I reckon we spent 100 hours, haven't we, on this case? But do you know what? As long as the right verdict comes out, it's worth every hour, every minute. I just wonder, don't you wonder, what do these people think? The people that are like, what does Ian think about the way the trial's been going on? What does Simon think? And what does Erin think as well? Not that I particularly care what Erin thinks, but I think Erin's enjoying it. I just feel that maybe Erin is quite enjoying this because she likes a bit of true crime. She likes the attention. She thinks she's clever enough to evade justice. That's what I think. So I think Erin's probably enjoying it. I really do. What else did she have to do? I mean, she wants her children back, doesn't she? But yeah, she elected to go for a longer time before her trial. She didn't go for a quick trial. She elected to go for a longer trial. Her lawyer said, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter. I bet she's having a great time in prison, feeling superior to all those women that are in there. She reminds me a lot of Laurie Daybell. She was the same. Oh yes, God chose me to come and help these women in prison. Forgetting that, God also chose her to murder her 2 children, her husband, and her new husband's wife, and God knows who else, and try and murder her nephew-in-law. I think Erin's the same. Erin will be in there in prison thinking she's superior to all those other women that are in prison, helping them, like Laurie does. I'm helping them. Because psychopaths always have to feel superior to somebody else. Yeah. And did you know that Erin also worked for a newspaper, didn't she? Which apparently she took over from her in-laws. Let's have a look if I can find anything about that. She worked as a newspaper editor. I'd like to know why she had to leave the air traffic control place. Let's see. Yeah, it says in, let's have a look at this article. Yeah, there's not much about her background, but I think a lot more will come out after the verdict. Let's have a look at this.
Of attempted murder, all apparently, according to the police statement, relating to this one incident in July where she fed 4 guests a meal of beef Wellington with mushrooms in it. There are reports that 3 of the charges relate to separate incidents in the couple of years before that, but that's what the police say, this one incident. So we'll see what the truth is after that. Very, very intriguing.
Oh. Hang on, let's read it. Oh no, I want to go back to that article about Erin. So yeah, apparently she shared details of her horrible upbringing in text messages to a friend in 2019. So in the messages, which were sent shortly after her mother Heather Scudder's death in 2019. So you couldn't make it up, could you, Scudder? Miss Patterson described her as a cold robot. Well, of course, her mum cannot, don't like this, because quite often people complain about their parents after they're dead. Like Heather, she may have been a cold robot. I don't know, but she can't defend herself, can she? Oh, my mum was ultra weird her whole life, she wrote. We had a horrible upbringing. Mum was essentially a cold robot. Now, we all have issues with our parents, don't we? It was like being brought up in a Russian orphanage where they don't touch babies. I mean, that's quite, that's quite racist as well to say, isn't it? I mean, maybe they don't touch babies in Russian orphanages, but do you think that British orphanages treat their children any better? In the messages first reported by the Herald Sun, it's the Herald Sun again, Miss Patterson also claimed that her late father, Eaton Scudder, was a doormat. Dad wanted to be warm and loving to us, but Mum wouldn't let him because it would spoil us, so he did as he was told. She would shout at him, and if he did the wrong thing, she would shout at him if he did the wrong thing. So he became very meek and compliant. My sister and I would hide in our room most of the time, so we couldn't do anything wrong. Which again, where is her sister as far as this? Why is her sister not there backing Erin up? Why is her sister not there? Strange, isn't it? Where's the sister? Where is the sister? Why did she not? Why did she not? Why did her sister not testify for Erin's defence? And then they've blocked out those messages. Dad was a doormat. That's what my psychiatrist reckons. She said she wishes she could have studied my mum. And then earlier this month, a former colleague of Miss Patterson revealed details of her past life, describing her as eccentric and abrasive during her time as an air traffic controller in the early 2000s. So, once you start reading these things, you'd be terrified to go in an aeroplane because someone like Erin might be directing your traffic. So not much is known about Miss Patterson, apart from the fact she was once a newsletter editor. At the time of the alleged murders, she was a stay-at-home mum to her 2 children. What is it, just me, or she looks completely weird? There's something hidden in this woman's eyes. It may be because of her parents, may well be. There's something. This woman looks like someone who's hiding something. People can criticize me for saying that. That's just how I feel. I'm just speaking as I feel. Something veiled in this woman's eyes. I've looked at a few weird eyes lately on YouTube channels, and you know what? Some people, their eyes are just wild. So the former colleague described Erin as highly intelligent and capable, graduating from the challenging training course and working independently in the field. I wonder why she left. She was rated in the field and was actually responsible for running airspace for a while. She was bright and much brighter than people might think. She managed to get guys wrapped around her little finger, although she was very unkempt and she was abrasive. So how did she get guys wrapped around her finger? So a spokesperson from Air Services Australia has confirmed Miss Patterson's employment as an air traffic controller. Erin Scudder was employed. Oh, hang on. Right. Now, I've got to just come off a minute because my dog's... hang on. Ooh. Right, come here. Sorry. Hello. Sorry about that. That's my dog coming back from his clip. Yeah, no, Riley went for a clip, and so she just arrives to bring him back. But then I have to put the German Shepherd upstairs and let the... everything's manoeuvre in this house. Anyway, Riley's been clipped, so he'll be nice and cool now, won't you, baby? Where are you? Oh, he's gone up for a wee. He needed it desperately. He needed a clip so much. He was just too furry, bless him. Anyway, he's been clipped now, so. Where am I? Yeah, all's okay, just that I had to sort the dogs out. Anyway, okay, where was I? So yeah, a spokesperson from Air Services Australia has confirmed that she was employed as an air traffic controller from 12th of February 2001 until 28th of November 2002. So not that long. I wonder what happened. Makes you wonder. Maybe she was, because air traffic controllers, I presume. Let's see. Yeah, air traffic controllers I presume they have to have like mental health checks and things. Maybe she failed. We'll find out at some point after the trial's over. If Erin is found guilty, we will definitely find out a lot more things. I think there's a lot more to come out about Erin Scudder or Erin Patterson. Of course, we still need to find out about these 3 times she's accused of poisoning her husband. That's all to come out, isn't it? Let's just have a look. In the end, they decided not to charge her with that, don't forget. Because he was really ill, wasn't he, himself for a while? Anyway, I'll have to look at that for another time because I haven't got that prepared. Right, just go back for that. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I was just having a look at the... So, thank you so much for watching. Special thank you to Maria for becoming a member again. Special thanks to Bluebell for the super sticker. Thank you so much. And also to Joanne for the super sticker. And also to, I think it was Swin. Thank you, Swin, who bought me a Ko-fi, which I don't know if I can get that back up or not. Yeah, I might not be able to get that back up. That's back up in the chat. That comes up in the chat. But thank you so much for buying me a Ko-fi. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to everyone for watching, but a special thank you, of course, to people who go that little bit further. That's so much appreciated. I want to put my thank you up now. Oh dear, I'm getting confused with everything now. Yeah, special thank you to all of you just for watching and caring, of course, about these 3. 3 people who died, and the 4th person who's been through hell. That's what really, at the end of the day, this case, we talk about Erin. Erin's sort of fascinating, isn't she? I think Erin fascinates us because we're like, well, did she do it? And what sort of a person would do it? Etc. So it's a fascination we've got. So thank you to all of you. Thank you so much. I will see you really soon in the next video. So don't forget, we will have another day tomorrow to listen to the judges summing up. And then that poor jury, finally, when they get a chance to go out, it doesn't look like they were going out tomorrow. He said that he won't be finished by tomorrow. So will the jury go out on Friday? I have a feeling. Because once the jury go out, they are going to be kept separate, I think. So I think that's when he said the other day, you don't need to bring your toothbrush tomorrow. I think tomorrow he might say you need to bring. Is he going to make them go out for the weekend? And then on Monday, maybe there'll be a verdict by then? Or is he going to make them wait until Monday before they go out? Who knows? You know, that's his discretion. So thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And sorry, I'm reading the chat at the same time. Thank you for chatting as well, and the information that you give me in the chat. That's much appreciated too. I'll see you really soon in the next video, all of you, and thank you so much. Bye. And may your God go with you.